Shipman? Supervisor Shipman seconded? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, any discussion?
Chair, do you want me to, this is Randy Schultz, County Administrator. Do you want me to talk?
Yes, this would be the time.
All right, thanks, Chair. First of all, we'll have Jeff Nelson and Dennis Brown give a presentation on the Chippewa County Radio Tower project. Project started, I believe, back in 2013, and Jeff Nelson is a consultant with PSC Alliance and has been on board since the beginning of this project. And Dennis Brown is Emergency Management Director. I realize that several county board members probably don't even know about this project, so we wanted to give a update, a history, and where we are now with funding. And then there's a second presentation about projection funding that Jeff and Dennis will talk about the first two slides, and I'll talk about the rest and the reason why we're recommending what we're recommending. So, Jeff, if you're on, I believe you're going to start off.
Are you there, Jeff? If you're muted, *6 will get you off mute.
Dennis Brown, are you on?
Yeah, Dennis is here.
Do you know if Jeff is joining us?
Yeah, I expect him to be on the call, but I can talk a little bit about the background of the radio system. I believe that the county board members have a handout in their packet, a set of slides.
Correct. It starts on page 51 for the county board members, and it's 8.1A in your agenda.
Okay, so basically, I won't read all of this to you. You probably glossed over it, but Chippewa County provides the VHF radio communications for countywide for law enforcement and fire services and ambulance services across the county. And so most of our equipment's pretty old. It's in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 years old. Generally, a few of the items are a little bit older. Nothing's really newer than 25 years old, so really beyond the life expectancy of radio equipment. Moving on past the background, next slide was, again, about the system. We transmit most of our frequencies now from the main radio site out in Eagle Point. And so it's a one point to broadcast out to countywide. That was not a problem until we got to narrowbanding back in 2012, and that reduced coverage. So it was time that we needed to look at a new system and a new configuration. Then there's a little talk here about the old system. I won't go into that with a lot of detail. It involved that main transmit site and some remote receive sites around the county. That really wasn't adequate, though, once we got to the FCC mandate with narrowband, and coverage became lacking, and we had to go to the new plan that's being put in place at this point is a simulcast system. Simulcast means simultaneous broadcast, where we broadcast from multiple sites around the county.
Hospital after he found him in a car parked illegally outside of a gas station. The affidavit states that he was found, quote, pushing the illegal comments and time.
Can you, those who aren't speaking, mute your mic, please? Go ahead, Dennis.
Okay, I'm back. You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so one of the handouts there is proposed sites. So you'll see a map that shows the proposed transmit sites across the county, and there are 10 of them, so quite an increase from our old system. Those sites both transmit and receive radio communications, so it should be a great improvement over our current system. Next thing regarding recommended configuration just shows the linkage. There's two ways that communications are sent out and come back. Some of the sites are linked by microwave from site to site. Other ones are linked by the county's fiber optic network. So there was a great savings there that we're able to use on one side of the county, the IT's fiber optic network. Then moving on to project budget. Originally, budget was set at $6.3 million some time ago. Happy to say that revised estimate was down to $3.6 million. And there were a number of reasons for that. There was more of a rush right after the FCC mandates for systems, so there was larger demand. So prices were higher at that point. So by being able to buy some time before we put in a new system, there were some savings there. I mentioned utilizing the fiber optic connectivity across the county, and also some very favorable partnerships. Good working relationship with Dairyland Power and the municipalities, so that a lot of our sites are on water towers in the municipalities. Savings there, and then Dairyland Power offered the use of two of their sites in real strategic locations for us at no cost. So huge savings there. And then the agreements that we did enter in, where we had to build new towers, we got very favorable leases and terms on those. So those are parts of the reasons why we were able to save. Also, by having a well-defined system, they were very competitive bids. So, any questions on that up to this point?
Supervisor Thornton?
Go ahead, Supervisor Thornton.
Is this project fully completed?
No, everything has been bid out. The towers have been built. There are some, all the equipment has been, the bids for the equipment have been awarded. We project that it will be online the first quarter of 2021.
Have you saved any contingency money, set aside any contingency money?
Well,
for what may or may not go wrong?
Yeah, I'll let Randy talk about that. But, yeah, some of when the funding goes from this project to the highway project, the bonding, that frees up more discretionary funds from the tax revenues. But that's not my bailiwick. But I will just move on then to the last slide here about project challenges. That kind of answers that question too about when will we come online. The pandemic did make a difference for us. Slowed things down as far as availability of equipment. Hard to believe some of the items like rebar, reinforcing iron and stuff that were delayed in getting. We did have some problems with the foundations at one of the sites. Didn't pass the concrete break test. So those foundations had to be re-drilled and re-poured at the contractor's expense. So that was a significant delay that was out of left field we would not have anticipated. And that's about it. I guess that leads me to the estimating completion in the first quarter of 2021. And any questions about contingency? We really know pretty much what our expenses are going to be. We've got a couple smaller items that are still out there having to do with MPLS switches and routing for the fiber optic network, and those are real close to being determined. And then we'll have a pretty solid estimate on the total cost. That's all I have, and if there are questions.
I can take it from there if there's no questions for Dennis, but he's obviously available if you have any.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll take over where it starts. For you guys, it's page 58 on your packet, and it's the total original funding for the radio tower project. If you look at it on top, it shows where the funding sources came from. As you can see on the far left, on the top says transfer from sales tax. The total amount was $1.3 million. Transfer from closing costs or variance, it says, but about $2.2 million, and then bonding originally was $4 million. So the total amount that was in for the project was $7.5 million. As you could hear from Dennis, you know, it was over so many years and a very complex project, and some things fell into place, obviously, but things could also fall out of place. So I think that's why, even with the original estimate, we wanted some extra funding in there in case it ran over. And then if you talk about, this is really what the resolution is about. It has to do with the bonding. So background history is 2018, the county board approved resolution 4818 to award the $6 million for capital projects. 2019-2020 road construction and bridge construction projects, and obviously with the tower project. Originally, the radio tower project expected to utilize about $4 million, and highway was to utilize $2 million. In fall 2019, we actually discovered from our bond consultant that bonding over $5 million required that all funds are utilized within 2 years. That means that we had to spend the funds by October 1st, 2020. As Dennis has talked about, we still were hopeful throughout this project that we could have it completed by that date, but with COVID hitting, with issues on one of the towers that they couldn't pass the concrete test, that really put us back. So we weren't able to complete it at that time. So the radio tower project has only utilized $1.6 million of the bonding fund. So if you call it a problem, here's what we had to solve. The radio tower project was delayed. That's come in significantly under budget, and therefore Chippewa County needs to move $2,354,113 worth of bonding funds. So the solution recommendation was all of the $1.3 million of sales tax funding will be used as originally planned. Current estimated funds not utilized from previous allocated costs. So after we're all done, there's, depending on where the final project comes in, and obviously we won't move the final money until after the project is completely done. And like Supervisor Thornton said, really the contingency is there's $1.5 million that we feel will be extra in that project, and we'll wait till it's completed before we move any money. And then after consulting with our auditors and our bond consultant, this is their recommendation. The best option is to transfer the bonding money to highway and then transfer the same amount of sales tax funding out of highway. So essentially, highway is going to get a net zero gain. So the bonding's going into highway. They're going to utilize it for their projects. And then the sales tax funds would go back into the sales tax account. And what this does is it allows the county board to have discretion on, you guys control where that sales tax money goes, so you can decide what to do with it. So it's just transferring that money back into that sales tax fund balance. And then the next one, so this is really the updated, what it would look like. Transfer from sales tax still be the 1.3. Transfer from closing would still be the 2.2. And then the bonding, instead of the 4, would be the 1.645. So that still leaves the project with, at the end of the day, you would have about $1.5 million if everything comes in according to the cost that they're estimating right now. And then we just broke that down again just to show you what the original bonding was, what sales tax, and what the closing costs are. So there's $5.145 million still in there with the estimated cost of, was it $3.6 million. So that leaves you with about the 1.5, 1.4, depending how things come in. The 1.5, I've been asked about that. Currently in our Health and Human Services, they used to have $1 million fund balance. And there in the last 2 years, that's down to 47,000. And they're projecting right now to be 400,000 or 500,000 over for this year. So what we'd be looking at doing, I would like to get that fund balance back up to that $1 million. And then it's going to probably give us about 2 years to come up with a solution for that. As you guys know, everything's been difficult, especially through COVID, but we've been able to deal with some of the CPS concerns that we had when we added those positions. Those costs have gone down, but our out-of-home placements, especially adult mental care and juvenile justice, has just gone out the roof. So, but this would give us an opportunity to work on a plan or come up with something in 2 years to try and solve that problem or see what we want to do with that problem. Well, that's all I have unless there's questions.
So to kind of paraphrase, this is Dean Gullickson, Chair. So at this time, we're just looking at moving the funds into the Highway Department because that ends up with a zero, but at present, we're not looking at moving funds into the Human Services budget that's being explored yet?
Correct. Yeah, we want, it'd have to be after the project is completely done because we won't know how much money is available in there until the project is completely done, which we're thinking is first quarter of next year.
Okay.
The bond consultant and the auditors, this is really the only solution we have. There was another solution, but it was essentially using bonding money to pay off your debt, which nobody thinks that's a good idea. They didn't think it was a good idea. So really the only option is, and it gives the county board the most control too of the funds, which I think is obviously a good thing. You guys decide how you want to spend that sales tax, and it's just going to up the fund balance in the current sales tax, and then you guys decide where you want to allocate those funds out to.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Supervisor Steele.
Okay. Supervisor Steele, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to ask Randy, now if we'll come before the board to transfer that money over to the Department of Health or the Health and Human Services sometime at the end of the first quarter, right?
Yeah, the plan right now is, when that's completed, then it's end of the year funds technically, so I have authority to do that. You guys always make the ultimate decision, but I would bring that in front of the board in a resolution to make that decision.
Okay, my question is, state has got a pool of money that they're going to distribute throughout the counties for COVID-19 impact. And I would hate to be using our borrowed money to keep our department afloat, and then all of a sudden we get an influx of money, or the state says, oh, geez, you guys don't need any money. You already paid for yours.
Yeah, a couple things. One, it wouldn't be borrowed money. It would be end of the year money. So it's money that was allocated at some point towards our budget. So that transfer of closed variance over those years, those were monies left over from levy that wasn't utilized and was distributed into this project. So it's not borrowed money. The other thing is I haven't heard anything for DHS as far as receiving money. It's all been for public health. So those are two different departments. So public health, we've heard a lot of monies they're talking about being available. I haven't heard anything as far as because of mental health and all the issues that's gone on because of the pandemic, getting money into DHS for that purpose. I just haven't heard that buck at all.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other supervisors? Okay, hearing none, then we would call the vote. I would have the clerk call the vote.
And a reminder, I did mute a couple of people for background noise, so if you don't hear me, go on to the next person, check your phone and *6 to unmute. Supervisor Hull?
Aye.
Supervisor Steele?
Aye.
Supervisor Sikorsky?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Aye.
Supervisor McMiniman? Supervisor McMiniman?
Aye.
Supervisor Thornton?
Aye.
Supervisor Hauser?
Aye.
Supervisor Michelson?
Aye.
Supervisor Shipman? Aye. Supervisor Curvina? Aye. Supervisor Eisenhuth?
Aye.
Supervisor Ives? Aye. Supervisor Hunt? Aye. Mr. Chair?
Aye.
14 ayes.
Okay, resolution passes. Okay, on to resolution 420, or excuse me, 48. Resolution 48. Did we?
I believe it's resolution 4020.
What is this?
Resolution 4020, resolution to authorize the expenditure of funds for the construction of a new Chippewa Valley Innovation Center building. Now therefore be it resolved that the county administrator is.
Can we hold up just a second? We have an agenda issue.
Dennis Brown.
Yeah.
Has left the meeting.
Okay. All right. We got it straightened out. 4018 was part of 3920. So yes, go ahead, clerk. That would be correct.
Okay.
We had another one on the agenda.
4020.
Yeah.
Tammy Foldy.
Has
Now,
left the
therefore,
meeting.
Be it resolved that the county administrator is hereby authorized to allocate $482,740, $308,623 in grant funds, plus an additional $174,117 in funding that will be reimbursed by CVIC from the Land Development Fund to help finance the relocation of the Chippewa Valley Innovation Center to the location in the expanded Gateway Industrial Park located in the city of Eau Claire in Chippewa County. And be it further resolved that the county administrator is hereby authorized to enter into an agreement with the Chippewa Valley Innovation Center to ensure repayment of the $174,117 of additional funding once the current CVIC building is sold. And be it further resolved that the authorizations granted to the county administrator as set out above are contingent on the receipt of an EDA CARES grant that would pay 80% of the cost of the project to relocate the Chippewa Valley Innovation Center, forwarded to the county board by the Economic Development Committee.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
Supervisor Thornton, motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Supervisor McMiniman, seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We will open it up then for discussion. Who's going to start?
Randy Schultz, County Administrator.
Okay.
Can I start?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. We're going to kind of tag team this. We're going to have Craig Johnson first from Regional Planning talk about the general EDA grant, the full picture, and then we'll have Ray French, who is the current CVIC president, talk about the CVIC building, why they're looking to move, And then Tom I believe Wodowski is also on the line. He may say a few words from CVIC. And then we'll have Charlie Walker just talk about the history of CVIC, our relationship with that organization, and why he feels this is a good move for economic development. And then I'll talk through the finance part of it and the resolution. So, Craig, if you could start, and then we'll just do what we did at economic development for the rest of you, just chime in afterwards.
Sure thing. Thanks, Randy. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, you're coming in good.
I guess you can hear me. Is that right?
Yep.
Somebody? Okay, thank you. Yes, my name's Craig Johnson. I'm with the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission, and we're working with Chippewa County and some of the other partners that are part of this project on the application that Randy just mentioned. I'll just give a short overview of the project itself. What's going on is that the City of Eau Claire is working with the Gateway Industrial Park Corporation and CVIC. In order to expand the Gateway Industrial Park, they're going to be going northward into Chippewa County onto an expansion site directly adjacent to the current park onto about 157-acre parcel. Again, that's a vacant site. It's been used as ag land for some time, but the city has owned it for quite a while. They're going to be, as part of this expansion project, they're going to be installing infrastructure on that parcel. They're going to be building a new street about 3/4 of the way up the parcel, along with curb and gutter, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, water mains, and a stormwater detention pond as well. And that will kind of help service that site and allow companies to go in there, start utilizing the site. One of the other major components of the project is the CVIC portion, which is the subject of this conversation this evening. They'll be the first major facility in the site. CVIC is going to be vacating from their current premises very close to the airport out to this site. The building they're in is currently they've been in it for almost 30 years, so it's kind of out of date, and they need to move into a much more modern facility in order to serve clientele that they would serve. And this is a great location for them to do that, given the anticipated industrial growth in the Gateway area that's going to be happening. And Ray and Tom will speak more about that in just a couple of minutes. But anyway, this partnership has come together. They have decided to go for funding from the Economic Development Administration. That's an agency of the U.S. Department of Commerce, and they are providing some grant money for COVID relief programs. That money came through the CARES Act, which you'll recall back in the spring Congress passed to provide a lot of COVID relief out into the country. Through this program, they will be through to EDA. They'll be providing about $1.5 billion nationally. They have provided about $1.5 billion nationally throughout the country to EDA. That really, after it's kind of allocated between the states, that translates down into roughly about $20 million in competitive grant awards for Wisconsin. Roughly speaking, it may be a bit less than that. Maybe it'll be a bit more, but they estimate approximately $20 million in awards will be made. And those grants are available for infrastructure projects and planning projects, broadly speaking. This project that I'm referring to is at the Gateway, with the Gateway expansion, would fall into that infrastructure project category. There are a couple of really good things about this opportunity, unique things about this opportunity. Namely, this EDA grant is providing 80/20 funding, and what that means is that 80% of the estimated project costs will be covered by the grant. 20% of the estimated project costs would need to come through a local match. And Randy's going to go through with you in a few minutes how that local match is going to work. But that's kind of the basics of how it works with the grant. It's 80% grant, 20% local match. And that's really this is again, like I say, a unique opportunity because normally EDA does 50% grant, and the local community has to come up with 50% of the costs as their local match. But because of this 80-20 funding structure, because of the COVID relief that's being provided through this program, it's really a once in a rare opportunity to take advantage of some additional funding. They've also relaxed a distress criteria. Normally, a community has to qualify under a certain distress criteria that EDA has set out. Because everyone has been impacted by the pandemic, however, they have relaxed that, and so basically everyone's eligible. So with that, there's just a lot of need out there because of the pandemic, and with those favorable grant conditions that I just mentioned, there's really a lot of interest in this grant opportunity throughout the country and even here in Wisconsin as well. And so what we have understood is in our communications with EDA about it is that it is very competitive right now, and they have received a whole lot of applications. So we are really trying to get this application submitted as soon as we possibly can. Most of the funds for this program will very likely be allocated by the end of this year, if not before. So our goal is to get this in just as soon as we possibly can. We're working to kind of finish up the application right now that we have a viable project together. We've been through many discussions with the partners over the last few months to bring the project together, and we have something viable now, and so we'll be submitting this application very, very soon in order to put it in the best position to have a chance to receive funding. So anyway, that's kind of my overview of the project, kind of a broad brush overview. I'm happy to take any questions that you have now or later on. And at this point, I'll just hand it back over to Randy to move on to the next part.
Thanks, Craig. Yeah, I think we'll, if it's okay with the chair, we'll roll over to Ray French, CVIC president. He can talk about the building itself and why they're looking to move.
Great, thank you. This is Ray French, and thank you. I'm president of the board for CVIC currently. I have been on the board for about 5 years, and we've seen the interest in the facility, increase in the last few years. This last year we commissioned a market study with Craig at the Regional Planning Commission to look at where the CVIC headed and kind of understand what the lay of the land is for the future of the facility. As you know, it's been in its current location about 30 years. Has some structural issues, but it's been a great partnership with the entities, partners like Chippewa County for the last 30 years. So, the market study was great to reaffirm for us a lot of what we've been doing as far as the industries that we focused on, the need for incubation services, the metals manufacturing, all the things that we've been a part of. And it also reaffirmed that we've got a great thing going with this partnership among the Chippewa County, Eau Claire County, City of Eau Claire, and the other economic development agencies and partners in the region. But as I mentioned, there's some deficiencies in the building, just in its age. It's an aged building with insufficient HVAC, very poor insulation, and just would need hundreds of thousands of dollars in improvements to take it up to something that we could be a little bit more proud of. We've had it for again quite a while, and looking to use this opportunity to better enhance what we offer our tenants, enhance the incubation process with partnerships, and that's where this type of project is really exciting. So, and as you know, incubation centers are cyclical. We kind of go with some seasons, and in that, we've been largely full for the last few years. We just recently graduated two two businesses who took up most of our space, and so now we're in the process of backfilling, and we expect to be about half full through the next year and a half as we ramp back up to full capacity somewhere down the line in the next year or two. We've continued to grow our marketing. Exposure from the recent press has been very positive and increase our exposure and interest. Of course, we're not immune to COVID challenges as well, and it's a little bit slower for the moment. But we've kind of, with where we're located in the Chippewa Valley Industrial Park, it's a sort of a legacy industrial park for the region. And kind of where we're located, the state of our building, we sort of had the EDA Public Works grant in the back of our minds, but of course, even the 50% match has been a challenge. So with this opportunity with the CARES Act funding, reducing our match down to 20% seemed to make this a bit more viable. And then, thinking about, where else, we could be located and still maintain this great partnership, kind of took us over to the Gateway Industrial Park, and in particular the expansion area in Chippewa County. I'd also note that the Chippewa Valley Industrial Park area, being largely full, makes it difficult for us to expand in place. But it's kind of fun to see that so many of the businesses graduated from the CVIC are located in the Chippewa Valley Industrial Park, and that's the kind of thing that we'd hope to continue by moving to the Gateway Industrial Park. As an early into that area, we'd aim to have our graduates build just right next door to us as we can. So the new building that we're looking at is about the same size as our current building, but it's designed a bit more efficiently with proper electrical, concrete, HVAC, all that type of basic services that we would need. And then with the lower building maintenance expenses, we'd expect to maintain a similar operating budget. Pro forma that we've developed just shows us cash flowing at about 70% capacity, and includes additional investment in our management. So we're a nonprofit, and we we welcome the investments from our public and private sector supporters, but we're an independent group, and we've got to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for the future in the best way possible. And so, just for reference too, about 30 to 40% of our funding comes from entities like Chippewa County and the economic development agencies. About 50% comes from rent, and 10 to 20% comes from private sector income as well. But we're excited by the prospect of relocating and getting into a spot where we could potentially expand in the future, provide more opportunities for partners, and potentially bringing in some of our partners into the facility and sharing services and staffing. We've got a really great relationship right now with the Small Business Development Center, who's been managing a lot of our client advisory services. Chippewa County Economic Development Corporation, Charlie Walker has been an awesome advocate, and brings us quite a few tenants. So looking to continue to just do the great things that we've been doing with our partners. So I'm happy to take any questions at the end, but that kind of gives you a landscape of who we are at CVIC and kind of what we're looking to do in the new facility.
Thanks, Ray. Tom, do you have anything to say? I believe he's on the line.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just real quick. I'm Tom Waldowski. I'm the current chair of the Chippewa County EDC. I'm also the vice chair of the CVIC, and also a Chippewa County resident. And foremost, I want to say thank you to Chippewa County for their continued support of the CVIC and economic development in our county. Your support truly does make a difference. So that's really the main thing I want to say. I think Craig and Ray did a nice job of laying out the details of the project. I think this project would continue to demonstrate strong partnerships within our community, and would help foster continued business development and attraction in the future. So, I really just wanted to say thank you for your continued support.
Thanks, Tom. Charlie, your briefing on the history and your thoughts are?
Ray French has left the meeting.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Charlie.
Good. Good. Well, I'm good. Okay, good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of my comments are to give some education to the new board members on Chippewa Valley Innovation Center. We got to go back in time to 1989, where Chippewa County partnered with Eau Claire County and the city of Eau Claire to help form a incubator that would help the Chippewa Valley Industrial Park, which is out by the airport. My point is that that's been a very good success as a partnership, and your representative is Mr. Tom Thornton, who serves on that board, and he's the current rep for that, and gives you the feedback on that as well. We in Chippewa County have had great experience. We in Chippewa County have had great experience from the success. Just to name some companies that have graduated from the CVIC, Advanced Laser, we're familiar with that company. Premier Dyes is one. Select Countertops is another. So in the partnership, as Mr. French has said, there's been a lot of companies that have graduated and moved into the Chippewa Valley Industrial Park out by the airport. That airport is full, and by accomplishing our goals of having an incubator in Chippewa County over in Wheaton area, it will also, we hope, can duplicate the same success as that. So I just wanted to let you know that the building, we have done this before in the past where CVIC has borrowed money through an EDA grant, but at that time it was through the city of Eau Claire, and CVIC has paid that loan back. So I think it's a great opportunity. If we all recall back in the beginning of the COVID crisis, we made one of the goals was to see where we could grab as much CARE funding or EDA funding to bring it back to Western Wisconsin, and this is a great project for all of us as a partnership to do that. So I will leave it, Randy, back to you, but just as a reminder, we've all been in a great partnership, and congratulate everybody for continually working on it.
Is there any questions of those three gentlemen before I continue with the resolution?
Any questions from the board? Okay, go ahead.
All right, thanks, Chair. I'm going to turn your attention to page 75 of your packet. It is on the top left, it says allocation of gateway CVIC. It wasn't me.
Open mic.
Are we good? Okay. So it's page 75 of your packet. Give you a second to get there. So if you look at that page, you'll see a block on the bottom. This final estimated overall Gateway CVIC development budget. And this is really what we're explaining in the resolution. So originally, the city of Eau Claire and Chippewa County would put up $482,740 apiece. And then city of Eau Claire would get paid back $134,507 from CVIC once their building is sold, and we would get paid back $174,117. And how that breaks down is city of Eau Claire would pay for its 20% of the project cost for their infrastructure. So Chippewa County is not paying anything towards the city for their infrastructure. What we're, at the end of the day, would pay for is half of the 20% for the building. So CVIC is putting up half of the 20% or 10%, and we're putting up the other half. What we talked about is doing a no-interest loan for 2 years. They're anticipating they can sell that building easily in that time frame, and then we would get reimbursed. So we'd have to work that all through, and that's included in the resolution. The other thing is that Gateway would contribute to the land, would donate the land. The value of that land, what I've heard, is $175,000. So CVIC would not have to pay for the land. And then I also included in there in your packet page that is on. On the next page, I believe, no, it's going to be on page 79. And that is where we're taking the money from in order to pay for this. And that is the Land Development Fund. And what that is that's money's coming in to the current industrial park. And you can see how that breaks out. Currently on 10-1, we had $1,070,000 in there. At the end of this year, we'll have 1.4, and then estimated down to 12 of 2026 is 2.7. So that's where the money would come from for this. And again, at the end of the day, we would be putting up that $308,000 after we get reimbursed. And then this also goes along. Some of the board members weren't on, but we had a feasibility study, and one of the areas, this kind of checks off a couple of boxes that the feasibility study talked about. One was partnerships. In one of them, we actually said we could do complex partnerships, and this is, I think if you need 5 people to explain something, it's pretty complex. But I think it shows that we can work together in this region to bring economic development to everybody, and I think that's a great thing. And it also talked about location, and this is one of the locations in Chippewa County that was talked about in that study that would be a good place to put some economic development money. So that's really the money, and we're open. All of us are open to any questions.
Any questions by the board? I would have
Supervisor Thornton, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Supervisor Thornton.
As stated earlier, I am the board's rep to the CVIC. I think this is a great project. I've attended a number of meetings with Tom Waldusky and Ray French. This is, I think, a real good win-win for Chippewa County. The current structure is in Chippewa County. The new structure will be in Chippewa County. It should be noted that none of our money is buying any land. That land has already been purchased by the city of Eau Claire. We are simply ensuring our commitment to the Chippewa Valley Innovation Center. And I thanked everybody at the last CDEDC meeting, and I left out Randy and our staff that did a good job of coming up with some funding for this thing. And I just want to throw my support behind it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other supervisors? I'd have one question for the group. So what securities have we put in place should one of the partners renege or not be able to meet their obligation?
We wouldn't move forward with this at all. We all have to be in, because you guys are only approving the dollar amount that I talked about, and if the other ones back out, we won't have enough. We'd have to come back to the board, essentially, if you guys decided you want to put more money in it. But right now, there's really 3 things can happen. They can submit as we submitted it and get accepted. They can submit it, and they can actually request a 50-50 match, or they can get rejected. I guess the 4th option that you just brought up, Chair, was if the other entities don't move forward with it, then it wouldn't be a deal. I mean, we couldn't. There wouldn't be enough money in order to even go through the process.
Okay, so what you're saying is we wouldn't have any expenditure in it until all these bugs were worked out. Is that
correct? All the resolutions, and Craig can explain this better, but I believe all the resolutions have to be forwarded in the EDA grant before it's even submitted. So the city also has to pass a resolution authorizing the funds. We have to pass it, and Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe those have to be even, like the resolution has to be certified or signed, or EDA really make sure the money's available before they move forward. Is that correct?
That is correct. It has to be committed, and you have to submit like you said, Randy, a signed resolution. That documentation has to be included in the application package for it to for it to receive favorable consideration.
Okay. Any questions, any other questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll have the clerk call the vote.
Supervisor Thornton,
Yes.
Supervisor Hauser,
Aye.
Supervisor Michelson,
Aye.
Supervisor Shipman. Aye. Supervisor Curvina. Aye. Supervisor Eisenhuth.
Aye.
Supervisor Ives. Aye. Supervisor Hunt. Aye. Supervisor Hall.
Aye.
Supervisor Steele.
Aye.
Supervisor Sikorsky.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Aye.
Supervisor McMiniman.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Okay. I'll go back through all of this. Okay. Number 3, Resolution 4120 to approve tax levy. I will have the clerk read the resolution.
Has left the meeting.
Charlie Walker.
Has left the meeting.
Resolution 41-20. Resolution to approve the Chippewa County tax levy to be collected in 20
Has left
for
the meeting.
21 operating budget. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Chippewa County Board of Supervisors approve the levy against taxable property in Chippewa County in the following amounts. You can see the chart, and then be it further resolved that the county administrator is authorized to coordinate and direct all administrative and management functions of Chippewa County government as incorporated into the approved budget per Wisconsin Statute 59.18.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Discussion.
Chair, County Administrator, do you want me to speak on it?
Yes, this would be the time.
Yeah, especially for new members. This is the resolution. You guys approved the budget last Thursday. And then this is the resolution required by state statute to approve the allocation of the tax levy.
Any questions from the board? That's quick. Hearing none, we will call the vote then. I'll have the clerk call the roll.
Supervisor Sikorsky.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Aye.
Supervisor McMiniman. Supervisor McMiniman.
Aye.
Supervisor Thornton.
Aye.
Supervisor Hauser.
Aye.
Supervisor Michelson.
Aye.
Supervisor Shipman. Aye. Supervisor Curvina. Aye. Supervisor Eisenhuth.
Aye.
Supervisor Ives. Aye. Supervisor Hunt, Supervisor Hunt,
Aye.
Supervisor Hull,
Aye.
Supervisor Steele,
Aye.
Mr. Chair,
Aye. Motion passes.
14 ayes.
Okay. Ordinance 1120 to amend section 252, second reading. I have the clerk do the second reading.
I don't read anything. It's just the second reading of the ordinance.
Right. Okay.
Chair Todd Pauls will address the board if that's.
Okay. I'll look for a motion first to put it on the floor. Or do we have to do that? Yeah. A motion to approve. We will need a motion to approve the second reading.
Supervisor Hunt,
I so move.
Supervisor Hunt, second.
Okay. Who was first? There was two people where it sounded like a tie for the motion. Who made the motion?
Supervisor Schmidt moved to
Okay.
approve.
And the second was.
Supervisor Hunt, were you a second?
That is correct. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All righty. So a motion's made, moved in second. So then we'll take discussion. Corporate counsel.
Sure, I can briefly speak to that. These ordinance changes are essentially to reflect and confirm discussions at the executive committee regarding changes to the ordinances involving board matters. Those are in section 2-52, 2-60, 2-82, and 2-84. In 2-52, it's all included in your materials. Those are, in particular, 2-52, sub 2 and 3 are primarily solely to clarify existing language with regards to report of absences and actions taken to address absenteeism. Those are not substantive changes. With regards to section 2-60A3D, that is with regards to organizational meetings. And the change there is to allow for the nominated person for chair and vice chair to provide a statement to the board. And then section 2-60 sub C sub 12, that involves powers and duties of the chair. And what's being proposed there is to restrict the board chair from being the chair of any other committee other than the executive committee. Section 2-60 sub C sub 13, that is being created to define the roles of the county board chair and the administrator in the event of a declared emergency in the county. And then finally, section 2-60 sub D is the order of business for the board, and what's being proposed there is to eliminate the communication item on the agenda.
Okay. Any questions? Any discussion? I would make one note for corporate counsel to look into, and that is the sub 12 about the chair. For the statutory committees, the statute allows for the committees to elect their chair. And so I just want to make sure we don't have a conflict between statute and our code.
I can't answer that.
Right, that's why I'm letting you know. So the vote will be what it is, but we need to.
Okay, I can certainly look into that.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Supervisor Hunt?
Go ahead, Supervisor Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say I think we kind of went back and forth, I know, on that item 12 under, about section 260, I think it is, and then item 12 underneath there. I know that the chair, this is actually a really good thing because I know that the chair acts as an ad hoc or ex officio member, I believe, of all the different committees. So in the event that there isn't a quorum, we can always look to the chair to make that quorum. So putting this in actually alleviates a lot of responsibility and time for the board chair. So I think that this was actually a really good thing to put that in. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, who do we have here?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Supervisor Steele. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to speak on that same issue. When you have the statutory committees, for example, ADRC, Health and Human Services, Land Conservation, if those members elect a chairman, why couldn't it be the chairman of the board? I mean, that means that's the only person that can't be chairman of the board or chairman of that committee. And I don't think that's right.
And that's the issue I just gave to corporate counsel to look at because it appears there may be a conflict between a statute and our code. And I believe...
I would like...
Yeah, he would have to look into that for us.
Well, before I vote, I would like to know whether it is a conflict.
Are you able to make that determination?
I can't.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Okay, let me first finish with Supervisor Steele. Corporate counsel is going to have to do some research on that, Supervisor Steele. It's hard to just grab something out of the air. He wants to make sure it's accurate. Okay, Supervisor Schmidt, you were next.
Well,
oh, excuse me. Are you there?
Should I speak?
Yes, you're Supervisor Schmidt. Go ahead.
The chairman of the board is not the only one that our ordinance precludes from being chairman of those committees. As their amendments now state, citizen members can also not be eligible to chair those committees anymore because it must be a board member. So it's not only the chairman that has a limitation, it's also citizen members also.
So that would probably fall underneath the same preview that we'd have to have corporate counsel look into that also. Okay, now Supervisor Steele, second time you had something to say?
Well, I said before I voted on this, I would like to know what I'm really voting on. And if the corporate counsel can't tell me how that's going to be affected, I can't in good conscience vote.
Okay. Do you want to address that at all, Todd?
Well, the question is whether the local ordinance can be more restrictive than the state statute. Without looking at the specific statutes that we're talking about, I can't answer that when I'm asked on the spot in the board meeting, whether that is actually the case when we're going to take a vote on it.
So there it's from the corporate counsel. I didn't want to paraphrase him, but again, this is something he's going to have to legally research. And so this may be, you got options. You could postpone that section to the next meeting and tell corporate counsel and vote on the others, or you can vote on it all as is and throw the dice. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Keep this going. Why don't I propose a amendment to this saying we can vote on everything but that particular issue until our corporate counsel can resolve what it is. Yes or no?
Okay, so you
As far as
you'd be making that amendment to exclude that portion for today's vote. Would that be accurate?
Yes. Yes.
Clerk, do you have that amendment down?
So I have to pull up the ordinance, but I want to make sure that we have the right item here. So you're looking at,
I think it's item 12.
Number 12, is that?
Is that 11?
Yes, it's number 12.
Yes. Yes.
26012.
Okay, so the remove number 12 is basically what it is.
Yes.
Okay, so there's
not remove it. Postpone the decision on number 12 until we get advice from our corporate counsel.
Okay, but it would be removed from tonight's vote.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So everybody's clear on that. Okay, Clerk, could you read back the amendment?
One moment, please.
Okay.
So the amendment is to remove number 12 from the vote tonight, and then to have corporate counsel research the item in regards to the statute.
Okay. Is that correct, Supervisor Steele?
Yes, and then we can vote on that after he tells us what we're voting on.
Okay. We would need a second for that amendment. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made and second.
Supervisor McMenamin seconds it.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, please announce who made the second. I heard two voices, please.
Yeah. Jim Michelson made the second.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Supervisor Thornton, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Supervisor Thornton.
I guess I'm curious as to why we waited 31 days to now question whether Section 2-60 sub 12 is accurate. If there was a concern by those people who aren't terribly happy with this maneuver, why wasn't corporate counsel contacted after the last meeting when we had discussion on it so that we could render this opinion? We're now going to delay this another approximately 30 days. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Supervisor Hunt.
Go ahead, Supervisor Hunt.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to concur with Supervisor Thornton. We discussed this already at length within the executive committee and at the first reading, and I think that we already came to our conclusions then. I'm questioning why, again, we're waiting until tonight to bring up these concerns. I think if we approve it tonight, we can certainly go back and make sure that, and procedurally, that we correct other ordinances, because I think that we've operated, a number of years with ordinances that need updating, and we can certainly do that after the fact. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I believe at the first reading of this this change in our Chapter 2, we were told at the time that now is not the place to change it. You're supposed to think about it. You're supposed to take a look at it and then come back. If any changes needs to be made, now's the time to make them. That was said at the last board meeting. That's right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, Supervisor Eisenhuth,
Yes, go ahead.
isn't it like, I've only been on the board a few years, but it wasn't the chairman of other boards in the past? I mean, does the chairman have other?
Yes, I believe Supervisor Darrow was the chair of zoning, and I think Supervisor Sweevelover, I believe he was the chair of legal and law. But those are, I believe those are standing committees. This is the statutory committees.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious on that. All right, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? So at this time, we would call the vote then on the amendment first. Do you need the amendment read again? Or clerk, it's being remotely. Do you want to read it again so we can then vote on it?
Sure. The amendment is to remove number 12 for voting tonight and to have corporate counsel research the item regarding the statute.
Okay, all in favor?
Shall I call the roll?
Yep, all in favor of the amendment. Now the vote will be called and you would vote either aye to pass it or nay to not. So the first one will be the ayes.
Aye.
Supervisor Steele?
Aye.
Supervisor Sikorsky?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
No.
Supervisor McMiniman?
Aye.
Supervisor Thornton?
No.
Supervisor Hauser? Supervisor Hauser?
No.
Supervisor Michelson?
Aye.
Supervisor Shipman? No. Supervisor Kervina? Aye. Supervisor Eisenhuth?
Aye.
Supervisor Ives? No. Supervisor Hunt?
Nay.
Supervisor, thank you. Supervisor Hall?
No.
And Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Point of order. Would the chair need to abstain? This is Supervisor Pittman.
No, he would
No.
not need to.
No. The clerk, we have.
Vote is 7-7.
So it fails.
Vote fails, tie vote, it fails. So now we will go back to the original to vote. And that is to include that with the rest of the package for approval. Clerk, would we call the roll?
Supervisor Schmidt?
Aye.
Supervisor McMiniman?
Aye.
Supervisor Thornton?
Aye.
Supervisor Hauser?
Aye.
Supervisor Michelson?
Nay.
Supervisor Shipman? Aye. Supervisor Kervina? Nay. Supervisor Eisenhuth?
Nay.
Supervisor Ives? Aye. Supervisor Hunt? Aye. Supervisor Hall?
Aye.
Supervisor Steele?
Nay.
Supervisor Sikorsky?
Nay.
Mr. Chair,
Nay.
Mr. Chair, this is Supervisor Shipman with a point of order.
Go ahead.
I believe during the executive committee meetings you abstained due to the impact that this directly has on you. Therefore, I believe that you should abstain from this vote as well and should have abstained from the previous vote.
I don't recollect that, but my vote stands.
the vote was 8 yes, 6 no.
Resolution passes. Okay, we move on to HR Policy Manual Revision, second reading. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Supervisor Shipman, motion to approve.
Okay, motion's been, is there a second?
Supervisor Steele, second.
Okay. Discussion.
Chair,
Yes.
Chair is Randy. Tony's online to go through it if there's any questions.
Okay, Tony, you have the floor if you want to say anything about the second reading.
All right. I did not get any questions since the first reading, and if my memory serves me right, I don't think there were any questions the last time, but I'm happy to take any if there's any questions at all. There's a summary document if it's easier to look at that.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the board? Hearing none, then I'll have the clerk call the vote.
Supervisor Shipman? Aye. Supervisor Curvina?
Aye.
Supervisor Eisenhuth?
Aye.
Supervisor Ives?
Aye.
Supervisor Hunt?
Aye.
Supervisor Hull?
Aye.
Supervisor Steele?
Aye.
Supervisor Sikorsky?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Aye.
Supervisor McMiniman?
Aye.
Supervisor Thornton?
Aye.
Supervisor Hauser?
Aye.
Supervisor Michelson?
Aye.
Mr. Chair?
Aye.
14 ayes.
All righty. Passes. Communications, we'll move on to, and we have none. Agenda items for future consideration.
Supervisor Hunt.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have two really quick things. First, I wanted to extend a great thank you to the county clerk and her staff for carrying out all the things with the most recent election. I know with the pandemic, it was a huge challenge. And also, obviously, with the recent outbreak with the COVID cases, not only within our county, but in the courthouse. So I just wanted to tell you guys, thank you so much. You are appreciated, and we greatly appreciate you and your processes and all the hard work you do on that. So first of all, thank you there. Secondly, I just wanted to extend my care and prayers and thoughts to all the folks in the courthouse. I know that there's a number of cases that have been floating around, and I just hope that you all are doing well and that, you have a mild case and that there aren't any lasting ramifications or side effects from those cases. So, we're thinking about you. So thank you.
Okay, point of order. This is agenda items, but I'm sure the people appreciated what you said. But this is agenda items. Anything for agenda items?
Oh, you passed through communication too quickly there, Mr. Chair, but thank you. Mm-hmm. That was communication. Mm-hmm.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Motion adjourned.
Is there a second?
Supervisor Schmidt seconds.
Have the clerk call the vote.
Who made the motion, Mr. Chair?
Jim.
Thank you.
Yep.
Supervisor Michelson?
That is correct.
Aye.
Oh, okay.
I can call the roll.
Yep.
Supervisor Michelson?
Aye.
Supervisor Shipman? Aye. Supervisor Kervina? Supervisor Kervina? Aye. Supervisor Eisenhuth?
All right.
Supervisor Ives? Aye. Supervisor Hunt?
Aye.
Supervisor Hull?
Aye.
Supervisor Steele?
Aye.
Supervisor Sikorsky?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Aye.
Supervisor McMiniman?
Aye.
Supervisor Thornton? Supervisor Thornton?
Aye.
Supervisor Hauser?
Aye.
Mr. Chair?
Aye. We are adjourned.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.